talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is time again to do this thing here on a Thursday, May 21st. Hope all is well. I'm sure lots of you are probably at your last day of work right now because I'm sure many are taking off tomorrow. And then you already have off on Monday for Memorial Day, so that gives you a nice 4-day weekend. Maybe a little chance to get away for the weekend. Maybe go do some camping or go stay at somebody's cabin or maybe just go to a different state completely and get away for the 4-day weekend. If you take off tomorrow, would make a lot of sense. So hope y'all are enjoying potentially your last day of work. Maybe some of you are working tomorrow like we are as well. So maybe you have 1 day left, but almost 2. That extended weekend for a lot of people, Charlie.
I have 0 days of weekend.
No, it's just
it's the next 4 days.
Just another weekend for you. Really. But Monday, you're doing the morning show with Mitch Nellis, so then you have the rest of the day off.
I was gonna say,
grill out or whatever.
That's why I was like the most willing, I think, on the network to be in for Memorial Day, because I was like, I'll be done by 9. I have the whole rest of the day to myself.
You can still go grill out. You can take a walk. I know you and your girl like taking just random walks. So
my girlfriend probably won't even be awake by the time I'm back.
Right.
So it'll be perfect.
Yes, absolutely. And Mitch will wake you up, I'm sure. See, Mitch Nellis is another person that does not belong doing a morning show like me because we're too loud. We're just way too loud to be on in the morning.
Then you guys are like alarm clocks. See, if you did it together, you guys could be like the roosters.
Nobody wants to hear Mitch Nellis or Sparky waking them up in the morning. I promise you that is not what they want. Trevor and Josh, perfect. They'll gladly wake you up in the morning. A lot more under control and so forth. They get a little bit louder by like 8 o'clock. But for the most part, 6 a.m., they're kind of recapping what happened the night before. Just easy on into your morning. They're perfect. Inside Wisconsin Sports, weekday morning, 6 to 9. Corey Knebel, former Brewers closer, Brewer Territory podcast that he does with Kurt Hogue and JP Feyereisen. He'll join us coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. Talk about this Brewers sweep. I said sweep of the Chicago Cubs. In fact, last night on the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show, the franchise Tim Allen took out a broom and started sweeping up his floor during the show.
All right, we got to start banning props from Tim Allen.
Just saying, he was sweeping up the floor. You didn't see the video? I got the video. If you want to watch it again, I can show you again.
I don't need to see it again. I saw it once.
Yeah,
I would like to point out, I was the one that said they were going to sweep the Cubs on Monday.
Just remember, Tim Allen is the one that says, I hate doing video. I hate it.
But again, now he gets all his props. So
Tommy's like, he's lying. He absolutely is loving all this video attention he's getting.
Him and Chuck Garbedian, man, they start bringing out new stuff every show. They got something new in the background in front of them. Like, they love it. It's awesome.
No doubt. And you can stream this show live as well. Instagram Live, Facebook on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page too. We're going to eventually get that switch over to WI Sports Radio. We're working on it. Plus, if you miss anything on the show, you can always go back and listen to it in podcast form at wisportsradio.com or anywhere you download your favorite podcast app. So let's start talking off about the Brewers. Man, that Cubs team, that's pretty sad. Bregman
into left center. Not today with that wind. Catch made by Mitchell. Throw to third is on line, and they don't get him. Oh, that was a close play. Shot right here, I think. Yeah. Can you tell if his hand's on the bag, though? Well, New York.
After review, the call to field's overturned. The runner is out.
Runner is out. What an absolutely gut punch to the Chicago Cubs in the first inning of the game. Do you realize in all 3 games of that series, they had a runner standing on second with nobody out in the first inning of all 3 games? All 3 games? Yep. Holy cow, man. I'm out there cutting my grass, right, yesterday, because I had to cut it because today we had baseball practice, and then we're going away for the weekend ourselves. And I'm out there cutting the grass, cold yesterday, too. And I listened to Tommy do the leadoff show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, and he does a great job. Get done with that, so now I make the switch. I go listen to the game. They were on it. I mean, they were questioning whether or not he was out or safe. I'm listening to Josh Mauer and Grindle talking about it, and they're like, he's out. Like, let's see one more angle. Yep, he's got to be out. They got to overturn this. And then they overturned it. I was, like I said, could not believe it. I was like, well, this could be a good sign for the Brewers if this is how things are going to start. I felt pretty good about how things were going at that point. I felt really, really happy about how things were going at that point. And, you have all kinds of different things that happen in the course of a game. But that was one of many errors to come for the Chicago Cubs in the game. Yesterday, while I was watching the game, a friend of mine starts texting me. He's like, imagine Sparky didn't like the Caleb Durbin trade. I was like, I don't know if I agree with you necessarily. I don't think I blasted the Caleb Durbin trade. I simply did not like the Hamilton pickup. I didn't like getting Hamilton back in that deal. I didn't think he was any good. And I said, well, you're going to get Harrison back. I would think Hook will be able to get him going back in the right direction again. That could be nice. I was never the biggest Caleb Durbin fan last year to begin with at any point. Never really bought into him and his whole deal. But David Hamilton, even though, he did great stuff last night, I'm still not on the David Hamilton should be starting for any Major League Baseball team at this
Caleb
point.
Durbin.
Yes, he is better than Caleb
still
Durbin.
Better there.
That is true.
Hamilton, right field. Back Suzuki. He's still back. Hamilton has a fair ball. It gets away from Suzuki. Hamilton on his way to third, and he is going to be in with a triple. I lost track of Suzuki down there in the corner. Hamilton had a fair ball, and he ends up at third with only one away. Craig Counsell was thinking about challenging something, but to no avail.
Something? It's one thing for earlier in the game for everybody's favorite Cub PCA to come running up. He pulls up his glove like the ball was going to hit on AstroTurf. I don't know what he thought. He pulls the glove up, goes, all right, fine. Hamilton comes around, scores, fine. That's one thing. It's a completely different thing for Suzuki to have the ball hit him in the damn chest. It wasn't nighttime. It wasn't, the sunlight. It wasn't shadows at American Family Field where you see crazy crap happen because guys lose the ball. I, for the love of God, I don't understand what happened on that one. It hit him right in the chest.
Not just right in the chest, right in the glove that was in front of his chest. Like, it hit him in the middle of the glove, and somehow it was like there's a giant hole in the back of it, fell right out. Yep. It was absolutely absurd. It was like the Cubs could not play defense. They completely forgot how to play defense. They made one mistake earlier on in the game. They get flipped around by the challenge. You have this big kind of just moment of just
what about the catcher's interference one? The catcher's interference one on Freeling was amazing. Again, cutting my grass. So I am not watching TV. I'm just listening to the radio. And they're like, Freeling's acting like, the catcher, he hit the catcher's man. Yeah, they're gonna challenge his catcher's interference. And literally they're like, Grindle and Bauer are like, not quite sure, but let's look at it. And they both start laughing. They're like, it hit the lace on the glove. So technically it is attached to the glove. I think technically they have to call this catcher's interference. And you can hear them watching. They're like, it definitely hit the lace. And this is going to be catcher's interference. And then when they call it, you see Carson Kelly just look over and give the side eye to his dugout. Like, are you kidding me? They really just called that.
Don't put yourself in position for that. Like, yeah, they're going to call that. That's the rule. Like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. In the past year or the past couple of months, you should have learned that framing doesn't matter as much. So you don't need to be putting your glove out in the middle of the plate for no reason. Like, you're going to get called on that type of stuff. And again, when you're already struggling as much as you are as a team defensively throughout this game, what are you doing putting yourself in that position? Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it's kind of a cheap call, but it's the rule.
It's the rule.
That's what it is.
It's the rule. Simple and sweet. And nobody gets more catcher interference calls than Sal Freely. Nope. And again, when the replay comes and you see that it hits the lace, how did he feel it? Like, how did you feel that? Obviously, he did, and he knew, and that's why he turned around and did something. That was insane. Absolutely insane. Just one thing after another. 414 in the Nicolay Watauga text line. I haven't given the number out. All right, we'll give the number out. You want to hop aboard here. 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. The Cubs were the bad news Bears last night.
Really?
They absolutely
That's
were.
what it looked like. A bunch of fifth graders.
They
Man.
did.
It was awful.
They looked absolutely horrible. And then Cabrera, he leaves. I got him in my fantasy team. I was like, you got to be kidding me, dude. Come on, man. Goes out with a blister. And then in comes that Cubs bullpen. And for the most part, the Cubs bullpen did their job. The problem was Kyle Harrison was dealing.
Man, he is so good.
I mean, it's stupid. It really is. It's so dumb. As good as he is to go along with as good as Mizorowski is, for so long in Major League Baseball, it's always been you better at least have a front two to your rotation that can shut down an opposing offense. That's what it's always been. And you had Woodruff and Burns were your front two. And then Peralta was your third for the longest time. That wasn't good enough to get it done, right? At the end of the day. Now you have Mizorowski and Harrison. Now remember, you still don't have Priester, who was amazing last year. You still don't have Woodruff back, and I don't know if he'll ever get back to where he was, but those are two guys come back in this rotation. And then you're going to have Henderson or Sproat, and you're going to have to make a decision there on what you want to do with that position kind of going forward as well. Having said all of that, I literally was driving that last night because then I had to run to Lowe's to get something after I was cutting the grass. And I'm texting Tommy, and I was like, hey, man, I'm about to be driving here. So how many years of control do they got on Harrison? So I looked it up. He's like, 4. You have free arbitration after this year and then 3 more years of control. That's 4. You have Mizorowski even longer than that. They are set up for a huge window. And inside of that huge window, Madej will eventually be here. Pratt will eventually be here. Adam Shevsky eventually is going to be here with Fisher. They are lining up to get themselves on another nice run here in another big window of time to try and go get themselves to a World Series.
Or you could be looking at the right now and not just about the big window of time and say, hey, oh my God, they have so many pieces that should be on the trade market that you could be looking at and saying, hey, we're first in that NL Central, just swept what a lot of people thought was the best team in baseball a week ago. And now all of a sudden we're putting ourselves in the name.
Definitely not the best team in baseball anymore.
Did not look like it.
They're definitely not that.
Really
remember somebody in the 715 texted me last week when we were talking about this series. He's like, or she, I always say he, but he or she was like, they got a 15-game winning streak. I don't know what you're thinking, 15 home game winning streak. I'm assuming that person was a Cubs fan. They now have a 3-game losing streak at home for you in the 715, whoever really texted that last week. Yeah. 920, when your manager hates fun and you know what the vibe is like the rest of the year, do you care? His players hate him and are just collecting a paycheck. So glad he's gone. JB in the 920. I don't know if his players hate him. I never got that sense when he was in Milwaukee. When he was in Milwaukee, he did a really good job of building chemistry, making sure everybody was pulling in the same direction and so forth. Now, did it happen every year? No, there was probably at least one year I can think of where the clubhouse was just never right. And after they traded Hader, it completely imploded. That wasn't his fault. That was just a complete mystery by David Stearns in the front office for how that was going to affect the clubhouse. So, and you know what I'm seeing now? Joey Ortiz. Well, if they trade Joey Ortiz, how's that going to affect the clubhouse? Dog, I don't care. I don't care. Then Kurt Hogue this morning says on X, goes, I don't think we're close to even having the Joey Ortiz conversation of not being a shortstop. He says, I don't think we're even close to that. Don't think we're even close.
Come on.
Kurt Hogue, I don't think we're even close. Well, ask Corey Knebel how close he thinks it is to something being fixed on the left side of that infield. Former Brewers closer and, of course, part of Brewers territory with Kurt Hogue, JP5 Rising podcast. You can always download and listen to. We'll talk to him straight ahead. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
And a line drive back up the middle. That'll work. Frelick sent around third. The ball gets away from Pro Armstrong. That'll score Ortiz. Hamilton's on the move. Hamilton being waved. Still being waved. Here's the throw. Save! David Hamilton with a Little League homer here at Wrigley.
That's a beautiful thing. Highlight courtesy of Brewers TV. Jeff Levering on the call. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you on a Thursday. Thanks for tuning in around the beautiful state of Wisconsin, whether you be at 93.9 The Game in Wausau or The Fan in Milwaukee, 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, or maybe you're at 710 The Game in Duluth and Superior, or maybe you're at WNFL 99.7 FM in the Green Bay and Fox Valley area. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you are enjoying it, and you're going to enjoy it even more now because now we got our guy, Corey Knebel from Brewers Territory Podcast joins us now. He has to put up with Kurt Hogue every week like the rest of us do, so we appreciate him dealing with Kurt Hogue each and every day doing the Brewers Podcast. Corey, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me on, Sparky.
All right, so I have so many things. Like before the year started, Saris, who writes for The Athletic, had his big, over the top, predictions type deal for the year. And he had a bold prediction for each category. He had one for Cy Young. And his bold prediction for Cy Young was Mizorowski. This wasn't my team. This was just in general for the league. And he said Mizorowski. We talked about on the show. I said, man, if he wins Cy Young, they may win the World Series. You take what he's doing now and then what we're seeing from Kyle Harrison, Corey Knebel.
Yep.
No disrespect to Burns and Woodruff and what they did, but the future looks pretty bright with these two right now.
It does, man, especially this early. Look, Kyle Harrison's really coming out of his shell. I mean, and you gotta put credit on it, honestly, to Woodruff, even though right now he's not active, but I think his veteran presence right now is helping out him. Yep. Logan Henderson, Coleman Crow coming out of nowhere too. I mean, look, Miz is on another level, obviously, but Kyle Harrison is looking just as good, man. He's given the Brewers depth, and he's going in with two pitches, man. That's what's the most impressive to me. Yeah, he throws that changeup, he threw it 2 or 3 times yesterday, but yeah, there's some elite arms coming up right now.
And, we talk about this all the time, and I think you and I talked about it the last time as well. Now that we're getting to the point now where Vinny Rottino is bringing it up in the TV broadcast too, talking about not only how good Chris Hook is, but also the job that William Contreras does in managing all these young arms, in and out. And you hear Vinny Rottino go, boy, what a great pitch sequence call that was for William Contreras there on that at bat for that pitcher. And obviously, Mizorowski can shake him off if he doesn't like it, and Harrison can shake him off, but you just don't see a lot of that with Contreras behind the plate.
How often do you see him shaking? Exactly what you're saying. Look, there's a sort of trust that you have between a pitcher and catcher, that special relationship, and you're going over it before the game. You're going over it days before a series. You're going over it during the game. Even for starters, in between innings, they're kind of going over it. And yeah, you don't really see it. I mean, every now and then, if there's a veteran catcher or a rookie catcher, you don't really shake off. They know what they're talking about. A rookie catcher, it's some kind of battle sometimes, but yeah, Contreras, man, he's calling the game. And look, it's also not that hard when you got Miz throwing 103, what options in a 96-mile-an-hour slider. But look, it's from the starting rotation all the way to the pin. You can't just put all the credit on the starting rotation, but they get the ball deep into the 6th and 7th inning right now lately. So it is, man. Contreras he's a special human being back there.
I don't think I've ever asked anybody this question before, so I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
What's the difference between somebody being a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball versus somebody being a reliever in the bullpen or a closer? Like, why are they not starters in the big leagues compared to the guys that are in your mind? Because obviously you were a closer yourself and you've been through all of this. So what is the difference? Because the guy for Josh Hader, they make that deal. It was Carlos Gomez. And Hader comes into the Brewers minor league system and he's starting. They bring him up and they're like, well, this is just for now. And then next year, well, we're still thinking about it, but just for now. And then eventually he never got that chance to start again. And he became this amazing closer instead. What is the biggest difference in your mind?
Honestly, I think it's just pitches. Majority of starting pitchers have their 3 to 4 pitches. And I'd say majority of the time, like you've got 2 of them that are elite and then a 3rd and 4th that are, pretty good on the decent route. So When you're looking at, closers, how many pitches do they have? 1 to 2. Some of them 1, some of them 2 to 3. So and the starters, when you got Kyle Harrison, a special human being like that, throwing 2 pitches that are elite pitches, then it's, that's tough to come by. And then you got someone like Chad Patrick, who has been a starter. He's done it before, but look at what he's doing in the bullpen right now. He's able to just execute his cutter and I've seen him throw a couple slurves here and there too that are nasty out of the bullpen, that are, in my perspective, way better in the bullpen than they are in the starting rotation. And you're able to just go in there and give it everything you got. And to your point on like closing and relieving, one thing that I've learned with the Brewers compared to other teams that I've been on out of the bullpen, when you have a bullpen that is dialing it in and buying into this idea of when you come into the game, every situation is a safe situation, then that right there just makes it that much better. When we had me, Hader, and Corbin coming in, 4th, 5th, 6th inning, coming into the playoffs, even in September, we're coming in that early. It's a save situation. When we come into the game, everyone is getting a save up until we finish this game. And right now, that's what the Brewers are doing, man, with McGill, Uribe, Ashby coming in. You got Patrick coming in for 4 innings. And then he threw a third, kind of like his bullpen day, I guess, on Tuesday. So, look, it's a lot of closers in this Milwaukee Brewers bullpen right now that's helping Murph make these easy decisions on when we want to take out the starter or do we want to leave him in. So I don't think there's a lot of confusion in his mind.
So what about that back end role, like you're saying? Because for so long, for so many years, the Brewers have had that guy he's the closer. It was Hader. It was Devin Williams. It was Trevor McGill. Now it seems like McGill lost that spot and he's been relegated back now to about the 7th or 8th inning. And now it's pretty much Uribe's gig at this point. You feel comfortable with Uribe right now in the 9th inning? Do you think this eventually goes back to Trevor McGill? Or do you think maybe they go and get somebody else to shore up the back end of that bullpen at the trade deadline?
I mean, look, at the trade deadline, I don't think that's a priority for the Brewers to go out and get another elite arm as well as you can. You've still got Patrick coming in right now. And for in my idea, I think he's going to stay in the bullpen. He's gone to another level. And look, McGill has he got a save, last series, not against the Cubs, but I think it was the series before against the Twins. And it's not like he lost the job. I think that right now what he's doing is what Murph is doing is giving basically closer by committee. It's just whoever's up that day, here's the situation that we're going to go with. And I don't think it's a bad idea to give Uribe that experience. Not talking, arbitration numbers, not talking about experience or anything like that. It's really to give these guys saves and closing opportunities that either haven't been in that situation before or that I guess need to get that experience more. And look, Uribe he's dialing it up right now and there. And I'm trying to think of I guess it was the Twins. Yeah, it was Sunday, right? When they were tied in the 9th inning.
Right.
And obviously he left a pitch that he shouldn't have left there. So look, it's right now, man, he's got a lot of weapons, and I think that's a really good problem to have. And I don't see a necessity to go out and get another elite arm, but it's not going to hurt.
Talk with Corey Knebel, former Brewers closer, Brewer Territory on X. Great podcast. Him, JP Fireeyes, and of course, Kurt Hoke of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Must viewing and must listening to each and every week for sure. Let's talk about Shane Drowan, because you make this deal and everybody's, all excited as Brewer fans with the Durbin deal. But when that deal happened, it was David Hamilton, who I'll be the first to say I was not a fan of that part of the deal. It's like, come on, man. He's shown he can't play at this level at this point, but he's fast. I get it. The Harrison deal, I was like, okay, well, I know Hook will get him to be better. I'm not worried about that. Shane Drowan, I didn't know much about at all. But you watch him pitch, and we're talking about what this rotation could be here for the next couple of years. Shane Drowan looks like he could be a guy in this rotation at some point, even though right now he's a stud in the bullpen.
I agree. And that's me and Kurt have talked about it plenty. Look, I've been a fan of Drowan from the start because I played with him in 23 when I was with 24 when I was with the White Sox. And I saw him rehabbing his shoulder. He was going through some stuff and he's coming back. And I saw I saw there was a lot of potential in him, but yeah, he hadn't made it past AAA, I believe, with the Red Sox. And now he's coming in, and I agree. I think he could be an elite starter in the rotation, but right now, why would you want to change that? He's got that comfortability to be able to come in and go 2 to 4 to 5 innings out of the bullpen, which you don't really need, but at the same, because you got Patrick, you got DL Hall, who's also a long guy. You got, obviously Woodford in there too. So look, and Patrick has also shown, and Drohan has also shown too, that they can come in for less than an inning or an inning and still be elite. So it's fun. It really is fun talking about the Brewers right now, the rotation and the bullpen. But I'll be the first to say too, I didn't really know much about Harrison, and I was the same way as you. Look, he's going to come in and he's going to let Hookie dive into him and Hendo, and they did. They dove into him in spring training, and it has really shown numbers right there. And Hamilton, same thing, man. The defense obviously is – I thought he was going to be more of a second baseman, which I don't understand. Why would you put him at second base when you've got the best second baseman in the game? But
correct.
He's coming in, and now he's showing that he can play third base pretty good, but you want his speed, and now his bat that showed up at Wrigley Field this past series, man. We've got a good team going on right now.
What about when Priester and Woodruff get back? And then that, to me, because Miz stays, Harrison stays, obviously, they're not going to put Priester in the bullpen. They're not going to put Woodruff in the bullpen. So if and when those guys are ready, that's 4. Now, they've been going with 4 and then substituting whoever as the 5 right now because of everything going on. Yeah. You would assume they're going to get back to 5 here as that 5th guy. I ask you, Corey Knebel, Henderson or Sproat? Who you got?
I'm taking Henderson right now, man. I think
there you go. That's who I want.
Yeah. I think Sproat he's learning, man. He's young. He's got the velo. He's got the stuff. It's really good. But the control in my mind, Henderson is unbeatable in that, man. It's when you look at a starter, you want a guy like Henderson who's going to come in there and attack with what he's got. And yeah, I mean, his slider and cutter are disgusting too. So it's tough to tell him to go back down to AAA when he's already shown at this high level that he can execute these pitches and he's been in some situations. I remember in Miami where he's getting bases loaded and then he's still getting out of it. So look, he's shown that he can do it. And I think that right now Sproat has some things that he needs to work on, and control is definitely one of them.
I want to talk about Jake Bauers with you. Because we've been talking about this, right? Bauers is unbelievable right now. He's putting up numbers he's never put up before in his career, not even remotely close to anything he's put up in his career. He's 30. He's a free agent at the end of this year as well. He's battling for playing time, kind of, but he's so hot right now. I think Murphy's just going to play him, and Vaughn will have to find his spots. So that's what's going on. I don't think I can come up with another player that has the resume he has that all of a sudden just burst onto the scene and then just took off for the rest of his career and was like this. It's a month and a half. I'm excited, but it's hard to buy in because of the history before it.
I know. And, some guys get better with age. We've seen it with Verlander. We've seen it with Scherzer. And look, I think Bauer right now, he's just stepping into a new game of his. And we talked to him actually yesterday. So I think that, one thing getting into his brain a little bit was Vogelbach, obviously coming in this year, I think has really helped him just clear his mind. Stop thinking about your hands, stop thinking about your load, your timing and everything. Just see the ball, hit the ball, make it very simple. And man, it's very tough. It's a tough situation that Murph's been put in because you got Vaughn and now you got Bauers, and you want to play them both, but at the same time, you still got Churio, you got Mitchell out there. And that is a very tough problem to have. And I really want to see, you can't just put Bauers on the bench, but at the same time, do you really want Vaughn on the bench either? So, look,
what it comes down to, it's going to come down to Garrett Mitchell and Sal Frelick and how well they're playing versus Bauers being in the outfield and Vaughn being at first base. And you would assume both of those guys are well aware right now that, man, if we don't hit, Murphy may be like, okay, that's enough. You're going to come sit by me, and I'm going to play the guys that I know that can hit at this point.
Exactly. And he's putting in Bauers every game, which is what you need. You need to, when he's this hot right now, you can't just you can't tell the guy to sit down. And Vaughn's been coming off that hammer bone injury. And so obviously you want to give the guy some rest, but at the same time, you need to give him that playing time so he can get the repetitions and stay hot too. Because Vaughn isn't cold whatsoever. So, I think it comes down to, right, Mitchell is so good out there in center field. He's got the speed. Sal is obviously, he's a guy that you need on the team because, look, he brings the most energy out of anybody, as we've seen. So, it's going to come down pretty soon, especially this series coming up against the Dodgers, and we're getting into June. I think it's going to come down to, look, hey, what have you done for me lately? That's it, because we got Bowers and Vaughn that need to play, and we're going to find a spot for them.
One last question, because I've taken you longer than I told you I was going to have you. AAA, when you're there, how does that work? Because you have Luis Lara, who's 21, clearly looking like he's ready to move. Edie's Leonard, who nobody knows about, but he clearly looks like he's ready to move down there as well. And then you have Cooper Pratt the last couple of weeks sitting over 300. You have the same thing going on with Jet Williams here in the last couple of weeks. And it was brought up to Pat Murphy, and Pat Murphy's like, well, back in the day, somebody would raise hell saying, I'm sick of this crap, bring me up or trade me or whatever. And then you knew that guy was ready to come up. And nowadays, maybe it's not like that, but it just feels like they've got like 4 guys right now that could come up at any point. But as long as the Brewers are winning, I just don't know if the Brewers do anything.
I know. We talked about that too on our last show, is why would you want to make a move right now? And that's where it's in Murphy's hands, and you're trying to force his hand, but Murphy's got everything to say right now. You can't just change up Joey Ortiz. Yes, his defense is incredible. So why would you want to bring up Cooper Pratt, who's also a great defender, but a better hitter, much better hitter. But at the same time, now you're going to have one of them on the bench, and you don't want to just bring up Cooper Pratt, who you just signed to this huge deal. So you've got that control with them. So and I believe Ortiz is coming up on his arbitration year too. So look, that is very tough. And Jet Williams, obviously, he is elite, and he is a great prospect to have. And you've got these 4 prospects that are just burning holes in your lineup in AAA. And at the same point, I mean, you signed Rengifo to this deal at third base, and obviously the hitting isn't showing up right now. Defense has been kind of here and there, and but that's a permanent move. We talked about it. If you're going to make a move with Rengifo, that's a permanent move. You can't just say, "Hey, go take a break." No, it's bye. See you later, and then you bring up Williams and or Cooper Pratt. But at the same time, I mean, right now the Brewers are on a roll. They're vibing. Let the guys keep rolling, and you stick to your lineup right here until Matt Arnold is the one that makes the decisions anyway. And then he's like, all right, you know what? Rengifo's not showing up. I think there it is, man. Now one of them, we're going to start their clock. And like I said, you can't just keep them on the bench. They're playing every day, and they're rolling. So if you're going to bring them up, you're going to expect them to play every day, at least for 2 weeks, and see what they got. And then, okay, maybe we need to make a move. But now what? You got rid of Rengifo, so now you got to bring in someone else. So it's because, you can't just send down Ortiz. You can't send down Hamilton. So, and really those two, if you're looking at Cooper Pratt or Jet Williams, those are the guys that I'm
and I think Ortiz and Hamilton both have options left, minor league options left. Rengifo does not, obviously, like you said. So Rengifo would have to be a cut. You could potentially send down the other two, but that's a rough situation. I mean, you could do that, and Jordan Ortiz be like, "You can trade me now because I have no interest in going to AAA." Right? No,
and there's so many other teams out there that are going to want Joey Ortiz on their team. Yep. So, and I think right now the way the Brewers are pitching, and yes, against Chicago, they were putting up some runs. And I think there's also some credit to Yelly coming back too. I think his presence in the lineup really helps the Brewers and help the other team saying, hey, we got to pitch to these guys. Now we got to worry about them. And you got Hamilton hitting in the 9-hole. And, well, look at what Hamilton's doing now. So I think that it's making these weapons that we have really work out into our favor. And, I don't think you make any kind of move right now, at least for the next week or two.
Corey Knebel is stressing over these decisions. Can you imagine Pat Murphy and Matt Arnold?
I can't even imagine, man. Yeah, I'm over here trying to think of it like, yeah, I understand Cooper Pratt is great, but look at what the team's doing. We're in first place. We just swept the Cubs, which is
At
not
Wrigley.
easy to do. We haven't done that, in 5 years? So, I mean, it's
and
right now the boys are in a good spot.
The last time you swept the Cubs, if we're being straight about this, I believe was in August of 21. They had just traded their whole World Series roster at the trade deadline.
Exactly.
So it wasn't even a real Cubs team that you beat the last time you were there when you swept them. Corey Knebel, former Brewers closer, Brewer territory. Him, Kurt Hoke, JP Feyereisen. It's awesome. It's amazing. Go check it out. Thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sparky. Appreciate it, man.
You betcha. Take care. There he is, Corey Knebel. Again, follow him on X, and of course, follow Brewer Territory as well at Brewer Territory. And I could talk to Corey Knebel all day long.
He's awesome.
You and I love. I always tell these guys 12 minutes, and then it's like 20 minutes later, and we're here. And I was like, "Oops, I went longer than I said I was going to go." I apologize. Hey, step up to the plate. Take a shot at winning major prizes in the $300,000 Big League Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. April through June, you could win a share of $300,000 in prizes. All monthly promo entries count towards the grand finale drawings on June 26th. Get triple the entries during Brewers home games and score one of 3 all-new Toyota vehicles. More info online. Must be 21 rewards member to play. Only at Potawatomi. Coming up next, Jamie Pollard, the Iowa State AD, talked a couple days ago about what's going on with the Big Ten and SEC and kind of suggested maybe they break away from the NCAA. That happened a couple days ago, and now you got the Big Ten talking about expanding to a 2014 playoff and acting like they're in unity with the SEC. The SEC is going, hey, not so fast. We're not so sure about this yet. It's a mess. We'll discuss straight ahead on Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Coming up in hour number 2 of the show, let's talk about the Crew. A disturbing trend happening in Major League Baseball right now that has some people wondering about the sport. We'll dive into that at 3 o'clock. There is a certain pass rusher that has been a no-show for its team's OTAs. And we've talked about in the past about, that'd be fun in Green Bay. So we'll dive back into that again now that he's apparently decided he's not reporting. He doesn't want to be there anymore. That makes it more likely that he's going to get traded. So we'll talk about him. Charlie Sounds today coming up at 3:40. So all of that straight ahead. Right now, we've been teasing this for 3 days and never get to it. So we're finally going to get to it here. Iowa State AD, Jamie Pollard, who is the guy that I want to be the AD for Wisconsin. And I would bet you money that's not going to happen. But here is Jamie Pollard talking about the Big Ten and the SEC.
It's frustrating because collectively the 4 conferences created the CSC. And we spent a lot of money. The 4 commissioners spent a lot of money creating the CSC. And so then to have 2 of the conferences not want to adhere to it is perplexing to me. Because then it's like, well, why did we spend the money? If you didn't want rules, then why did you create this entity? That's what's frustrating to me. The same people that say they want rules only want rules if they don't apply to them. I mean, I said it 3 years ago. Yeah. Let them break away. I'd say I would turn it around and say we should break away from them. Let them go, but they have to go in all their sports and see how fun it is to play baseball and softball and track when it's just the 20 of you. And that's what I think we should do. But I'm one person, and that's probably a little more draconian. But that's how I feel about it. Like, let's quit talking about it. Quit threatening. Go do it. But if you're going to do it, you don't get to just do it in football and then keep all your other sports with us. No, take them all. See how fun it is.
So there's Jamie Pollard. Now, the funny part about that is when Jamie Pollard says, pretty much they want to have their cake and eat it too. That's most people. I mean, that's pretty much everybody. I want to get paid more, but I want to work less hours. Yeah, well, of course, duh. Most people would love to do that. Everybody's got that in them. I've got it in me. Charlie probably has it in him. You listening probably at some point in your life would want to have your cake and eat it too. Unfortunately, most of us can't say that we get to do that on a day-to-day basis. Some do. Some may get to have their cake and eat it too, but not everybody. I don't think it would be good for the NCAA at all to separate from the Big Ten and the SEC. I don't. And part of the reason I don't like it is because that's a lot of money that's gone. And you can say, well, you're going to have to take baseball and rowing and volleyball. All of that's got to go with you. To which he's right. That would really stink for the other two, for those 2 conferences, if that has to occur, right? But TV deals, streaming deals, all the money that will be funneling into those 2 compared to the rest of what's left in the NCAA, y'all are going to look minute. Not only that, you can kiss the NCAA tournaments meeting out the window and goodbye. That's no longer going to matter. Your NCAA playoff and bowl system, that no longer matters, and nobody cares about that. Like, those are the 2 main sports that generate revenue, football and basketball. So if those 2 are minimized and the revenue dries up because they're going to go play in whatever new creation is made for basketball and football for those 2 conferences, if that goes down, NCAA, y'all are in a lot of trouble. And you want to know what's going to happen next? Eventually, Mr. Pollard, who, again, I like, your conference is going to be wanting to go join those 2 conferences to go get in on the money that's being brought in by those 2 conferences. That's how this would play. You all would eventually full tent and end up having to go their way and join them. And then they're going to hold all the power. They're going to hold control of how much money you actually get and how much money those 2 get. Like, it would be horrible for the NCAA tournament.
I think he's underestimating how many scabs you would get that would just do it in the first place. So a lot of these smaller schools and these bigger conferences that would just say, screw it, I'm not going to wait around for the NCAA to fail. I'm just going to go with the Big Ten and SEC and let them take me in and see what happens.
Deion Sanders at Colorado is going to be going, we got to go. We are not waiting. We've got to go join the Big Ten, whatever. Get out of here now while we can. Yeah, you're right. There would definitely be some of that going on. Coming up next, let's talk about the Crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Here we are. Hour number 2. Still to come today. Wisconsin Sports wrap up with a big old hunk of love. Tommy Wirtz comes up at 5 o'clock. Brewers with the day off today. Doesn't really mean much to me and Charlie, per se, that they have the day off. I'm happy they have the day off. I got to go to my kids' baseball practice, so I don't got to worry about trying to follow it on my phone. So that makes me happy, at least. Other than that, not as big of a deal. And then it's the Dodgers this weekend. Your 3 best pitchers aren't pitching in the series. So that may lead to not such great things necessarily going into this series with the Dodgers. But in my opinion, your 3 best pitchers are pitching in that Cardinals series that starts on Monday. And that, to me, is more important than this Dodgers series. And it's funny how schedule makers work, isn't it? You beat the Cubs, you get the Cubs at Wrigley, and then the schedule maker said, ha, 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 now let's have the team that eliminated your sorry butts play you next after you face them. I mean, oh, my goodness gracious.
Oh, go beat them 3 straight. You did it last season in the regular season.
You did. Absolutely.
Just go do it.
That was a big turning point for this fan base where they're like, okay, they are real. Okay, we now believe they are real. Now they did that to the Dodgers. For more,
it's time to talk about the Crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
We'll get to some disturbing numbers for Major League Baseball. But before we do that, a couple of random baseball things. Over their last 162 games, Charlie using 162. The Brewers are 104-58.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Over their last 162. 104-58, man.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. I would say that's what I would call a World Series contender. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Another one here. This one's from Kurt Hogan last night. The only pitcher with a lower ERA than Kyle Harrison, 1.77, through his first 9 starts with the Brewers is
Jacob Mizorowski.
CC Sabathia, who had a 1.6 ERA with 5 complete games and 2 shutouts in 2008.
I saw a number today that says, like, throughout the years since 2000, how many guys or percentage of pitchers that are throwing complete games in the MLB. And so far to start this season, I believe it was 0.4% of pitchers that can start and throw a complete game.
That's horrible.
Compared to like 2000, where it was 24% overall. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Kyle Harrison now has multiple starts this season with no runs, 2 or fewer hits, and 11 plus strikeouts. That's crazy. In the entire history of the Brewers, prior to 2026, lefties had produced exactly 1 such start for the franchise. Only 1 time. He's done it multiple times this season. It's only been done once by a lefty, and that was by CC Sabathia on August 31st of 2008. And he's done it multiple times.
And you have him for longer than CC Sabathia, guaranteed. At least if you want him for longer than CC Sabathia.
Right. And here's another one from Just Baseball, which quickly is becoming one of my favorite X accounts. It's just BB_. The only starting pitcher duo in Major League Baseball where both starting pitchers have an ERA under 2, minimum of 40 innings pitched, Jacob Mizorowski and Kyle Harrison. They're the only duo in baseball where they both sit under 2. Again, we talk about frontline pitching, being good in the playoffs and all of that. Right now, as crazy as this sounds, there's no team with a better front 2 in their rotation than your Milwaukee Brewers.
It's pretty absurd. And then you just keep looking through the rest of that rotation. I mean, again, Coleman Crow, whenever he's been up here, the 2 starts has been phenomenal. But guys that just have been around all season, it's just been crazy how good your bullpen has been to help those guys and give them some confidence behind them. Jacob Mizorowski talked about that the other day when he was making his rotations across media, and I think it was on MLB Network and had mentioned that. It's so awesome. The defense behind these players, you've heard Tim Diller talk about how important that was Monday on this show. It's just so cool to see that these young players can go out there and have this confidence that, like we've talked about, you can walk the first two guys in any given game and then still come back and be able to have a dominant performance and not let that shake you, especially when you're watching a team like the Cubs yesterday where they have one bad moment and then let them shake them for the entire game offensively and defensively. That's just absurd how well and mentally trained the Brewers are to this point with how young they are too.
Yep, I agree with you on that. JB, no, it wasn't JB. 414. Spark, you are your three best pitchers. Your third best pitcher is starting on Friday. You're right. Logan Henderson starts tomorrow, and then he comes back on Wednesday for the Cardinal series. That's how you get your three best pitchers pitching in that Cardinal series. So you get your third best pitcher in game one of this series, and then whatever ends up looking at. I haven't even looked ahead to see what Saturday and Sunday look like, but I know it's not Mizorowski or Harrison. How about this one? Hamilton yesterday from home to first base, more of a trot, 5 seconds. From first base to home on that little league inside the park home run, 10 seconds. Took him twice as long to go from first to home as it did from home to first.
That's absurd. He had to get moving. He realized what was happening. Like, when you watch that come off your bat, you're probably just assuming single immediately.
Yes,
so
that's what he was thinking.
Jogging to
first base.
And
right.
then all of a sudden, Pedro Armstrong was like the worst player of baseball, despite everybody calling him the best defender in baseball all season long. And he makes a play like that, and you take full advantage of it. Like, he wasn't stopping at all.
No.
I don't think it mattered what the third base coach would have done in that situation. He was going home because he knew he had the confidence and the speed to go and do that.
This one was from yesterday before the Brewers game. I didn't get a chance to read it on the air. Cubs have 58 home runs going into yesterday's game. Well, they still do. That is 5.02 runs per game for the Cubs right now. The Brewers have 33 home runs going into the game last night, and they're averaging 5.04 runs per game. And that whole argument is power, and the Brewers are averaging more runs than a team that has literally 25 more home runs than they do.
Well, when you're watching the Cubs, you see how guys like Dansby Swanson, if it's not a home run, just is not helping out that Chicago Cubs team. Just helps that for 2 games in a row, he hit a home run or almost a home run to help walk it off for the Cubs so they get more notoriety. A lot of these players on this Cubs team, Pete Crow Armstrong's doing the same thing, Seiya Suzuki. Yep. If it's not a home run, they do not give you any value. And I think the Brewers are exactly the opposite. There's so many players on that group that do everything but give you a home run. They get on base, they steal bases, they put pressure on the pitcher and on the defense to make mistakes consistently. That's the reason David Hamilton was able to go and make plays yesterday, is because the defense was so scared about his quickness and how fast he can go, and that Pedro Armstrong probably knew he had to get the ball into the infield as fast as possible, so picked his glove up fast. And Seiya Suzuki is looking to see where David Hamilton is running to second already while he's also trying to find the ball in the lanes. Like, that's hard. And the wind was not easy to play with yesterday, too. That's the other reason he had trouble with that. Like, these guys force the other teams to make mistakes and take full advantage of it. I talked about it being a key the entire season last year, and I don't think you saw that to begin the season. Over the course of these past couple of weeks, you started to see that same kind of mentality arise with this Brewers team.
Absolutely right on that. The pitching matchups, by the way, Henderson is pitching on Friday. Saturday is Gasser. Sunday is Sproat. Sasaki against Gasser on Saturday. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have given Gasser another start probably, right? But it's fine that they're doing it because Sasaki has not been good. So Sasaki comes rolling into this one with just over a 5 ERA. And then Sunday, Yamamoto against Sprout. That's not advantage Brewers by any stretch of the imagination. So we'll see what that looks like. Yamamoto comes in 3.32 ERA. Sprout comes in with a 5.75 ERA into this matchup on Sunday. So your best chance to win these games is Friday is your best chance with Henderson. Then I guess your next best chance might be Robert Gasser on Saturday, and then Sunday is going to be tough.
Yeah, but even with that, like, I'm not going into the Cubs series, I was pretty confident they could sweep the Cubs. I had said that before the Cubs series. I'm not saying they're going to sweep the Dodgers, but I don't know. I'm pretty confident in all these games that they can win if they play good baseball. If their pitchers can continue to dominate the way they have, even the back of the rotation guys, if the bullpen can come in and help them out in moments in games like this, I don't know. I'm pretty confident they can win all 3 of these games.
We'll see how this all plays out. That Cardinal series to me is bigger than this Dodgers series. Whatever happens, the Dodgers series happens.
That's Cardinal
series is the one that I want the Brewers to win.
Apparently the Tuesday night game, if you wanted to go to that, is as low as $8 according to ESPN. So,
oh, really?
Uh-huh.
See, but again, those prices are about to go up because once school is officially out, then we see families start showing up to weeknight games again. But while they're in school, just like once you get to the end of August or so, early September, everybody goes back to school and the weeknight attendance drops off again in the middle of a playoff race. Everybody stops going in the middle of the week. Drives me nuts. It's driven me nuts forever. I understand it. I've got kids. I understand. Just saying it's a little weird. Here is one that Charlie came up with that we were going to talk about. This is something that Charlie, we were going to talk about yesterday, and it just simply didn't make the rundown yesterday for the show. And we have a couple minutes here before the next quick timeout. So we'll bring it up here. So there's been this ongoing talk about just how great pitching has been this year, how great pitching in the NL has been. We talked about possible Cy Young candidates yesterday as well. Check this stat out. This is pretty crazy. From OptaStats, MLB batters have a collective 241 batting average this season. That is on pace for the league's lowest mark since 1968, when it was 237 as a league.
That's a long time.
Hold on. I've got more.
Oh.
MLB teams hitting under 240 in 1998. How many do you think there were?
10.
0. In 1999, how many?
0 again, I guess.
Yeah. 2000?
0.
2001?
0.
2002?
0.
2003?
0.
2004?
0.
2005?
0.
2006?
0.
2007?
0.
2008?
0.
2009?
0.
Now, all of a sudden, we start to hit a little bump in the road. 2010, we had one team hitting under 240. 2011, you had two teams under 240. 2012 and 2013, you had 5 each in those years. 4 in 2014. Then, I don't know what happened. It righted itself back. 0 teams under it in 2015. Only 1 in 16. Only 1 in 17. 8 in 2018. 4 in 2019. Then 11 in 2020. 12 in 2021. 14 in 2022. Teams hitting under 240. Down to 8 in 23, 11 in 2024, 9 last year, and right now we're at 15 teams. Half the league is hitting under 240. Half the league.
So this is an interesting little fact. 2010 was known as the year of the pitcher, frequently labeled that alongside the 1968 season. That is the first
2010.
Yep. So that's the first year that we see one of those teams go under 240
right.
in that same range. So 6 no-hitters were thrown that season. Ubaldo Jimenez, Dallas Braden, Roy Halladay, Edwin Jackson, Matt Garza, and then Roy Halladay again in the first round, or in the NLDS in the first game of that. Again, you just saw amazing pitching performances. Maybe there is something to that, like you brought up before, that the pitching this season since then has just gotten better in shorter spurts. So these guys aren't going as long, but are pitching just as well, if not more impressively.
Half the league sucks, and there's no hitters, right? We haven't had a no-hitter yet, right?
Not that I can think of,
No.
but nobody goes 9 innings.
Well, yeah, but still, you can have the dumb combined no-hitter, which I think is trash.
You said that's not a no-hitter.
It's not. I just said it's trash, but you even haven't had one of those yet.
No.
Wild. The Queen of Spice, Wendy's, is taking the already hot and juicy beef and making it, well, hotter with the new jalapeno ranch cheeseburger. It's topped with jalapenos and ranch for the perfect balance of heat and flavor, but it's only available for limited time. So get a bite while you can. Coming up next, we'll talk about a certain player in the National Football League that does not want to be where he is and is not going to OTAs as a sign of not wanting to be where he is. He wants to be traded. And one of the teams that line up with where he may want to be is the Green Bay Packers. We'll talk about that next. That's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Hughes, and over there, other side of the glass. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. If you miss any of Wisconsin Sports Daily, it's also a podcast. You can find it wherever you download your favorite podcast at. It could be, let's see, where can we get it? Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Odyssey app, iHeart app, wherever maybe wisportsradio.com is a popular place people like to go back and listen to shows or interviews. And it's broken up not only by shows, but it's also broken up by team, right? Best Brewers covers. Those are all the interviews and segments we do on the Brewers across all the shows. If you're just a Brewers fan, if you just want Packers stuff, you don't care about the Brewers or the Bucks, you can go to Best Packers coverage. You can do all that. Maybe you're a huge Bucks fan, only want to hear Bucks content. That's Bucks coverage. We've got the same thing for college sports and all that. So again, check it out, wisportsradio.com, wherever you download your favorite podcast. I just put in those terms that apply to what you're looking for, and you are ready to rock and roll. Charlie Sounds of the Day coming up here at 3:40. Before we get to that, a story out of Arizona by our guy Gambo down in Phoenix. And Josh Sweat is not at OTAs. And apparently, Josh Sweat is not at OTAs because Josh Sweat does not want to be a member of the Arizona Cardinals anymore. Josh Sweat wants out. Josh Sweat, who's had double-digit sacks in 2 of the last 3 years between the Eagles and the Cardinals, he just got to the Cardinals, between the Eagles and the Cardinals, wants to go somewhere else. Josh Sweat is the same dude who made his name in Philadelphia, who then signed in Arizona. Why?
Jonathan Gannon would be my guess.
Where's Jonathan Gannon now?
Green Bay, last time I checked.
Defensive coordinator. So it would make sense that Jonathan Gannon and Josh Sweat may want to reunite. We've been sitting here during the offseason talking about, boy, oh boy, they still don't really have somebody opposite of Micah Parsons. You got a bunch of unproven young guys that everybody's got a lot of hope for, but have not proven anything. And now you have a proven veteran commodity that is sitting out there right now to be had. I was on SI earlier today, and I was reading a Bears piece to see what they thought, because the Bears also in need of pass rushers. So this writer that covers the Bears was talking about what he thinks it may cost to go get a Josh Sweat. And he's talking like a 3rd or 4th round pick potentially to go get Josh Sweat. Now, I don't know about you, and I don't know what you think, but I'll tell you right now, I'm in. Like, I do that. I don't got to think twice. I don't got to think 3 times. I'm in. Go do it. Financially, you should be able to move around money and make this work in order to bring him in here. And then you have a legitimate pass rusher while Micah Parsons is out. Then you have 2 legitimate pass rushers when he's back, not to mention the fact you still have Edgerrin Cooper that can come from all angles all over the field. You are in a really, really good position. And then you throw a Javon Hargrave in there that might get you, 4 to 6 sacks throughout the year as well in the middle. Brooks will probably get you, 4 to 6 sacks maybe throughout the year when he's rotating in and playing. You put yourself in a position now to be a really formidable defense by simply adding one more piece on the defense that is a veteran pass rusher that's proven that the quarterback knows who he is, knows where to look for him. The offensive linemen know who he is and what he does. And now you got to worry about Micah and that cat? I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer, but I'll ask you, would you support the Packers trading for Cardinals pass rusher Josh Sweat? And what would you be willing to give up to get him? Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. On the socials, you can watch us live on X, on YouTube, on Instagram live at WI Sports Radio. All you got to do is go to @WI Sports Radio. Leave your comment. It'll pop up in our Dugout YouTube chat, whether it's coming from Instagram, Facebook, X, or on YouTube. It pops up, and we can read your comments on the air, or use the Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250. I'm in. I know you don't have a 1 next year, so you're already short picks, but you're going to have like 10 picks when you add in all the compensatory picks that the Packers are expected to get next year. You're going to have a bunch of picks. If one team can afford to give up a 3 or a 4, it's definitely the Green Bay Packers.
If that's all it's going to take, yeah, go for it. You don't need that 3rd round pick if you're going to get a Josh Sweat out of it. This is a player that last season with a not very good Cardinals team put up 12 sacks. He didn't have a lot of support around him in that front seven with that team, and that was one of the things they wanted to go and change this offseason in Arizona, and they made a lot of moves to try and do that. And I think if you were to go and add him to this team, not only does he just help the overall defense or overall team in general, but I think he helps a guy like Lucas Van Ness in the first kind of few weeks here, give him some pressure and say, hey, show us what you got in place of a Micah Parsons here, and show us that you can still be a rotational piece of this defense. He's going to help out a Brandon Cisse, who's probably going to get some important minutes at cornerback to start off the season. He's their first pick of the year this year, and you need him to kind of perform because a lot of the other first picks that you've had haven't been able to do that in their first few years of NFL time here. So you need him to go out there and be that guy that can rotate in and help you out. And I think having a formidable pass rush helps him to do that. You saw what it did for Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine to start the season last year. Let that happen again for a younger defensive backfield.
They need it. The corners specifically need it. The safeties I'm not worried about. It's the cornerback room that still concerns me at this point. Now, you may be asking, all right, Sparky, what is Josh Sweat's contract? Can we talk about his contract? Sure, we can. First of all, he's 29 years old, right? So it's right on that borderline of where Goody wants to deal with you or not. 29 years old. His cap hit this year is $16.385 million, a dead cap of $31.8. Then you have the potential option to boogie on and move on from him after this upcoming football season if you want. In 27, when he turns 30, he'll have a cap hit of 23.6, but a dead cap number of 16.5. So essentially, you can boogie on out from the remaining $47 million or so of his contract for the next 2 years, 27 and 28, at the cost of only 16.5. So if it doesn't work out and you're like, okay, we're good, we'll take the dead cap of 16.5 to move, you can. Otherwise, 23.6, it's not a small number by any stretch of the imagination, but if him and Micah Parsons both have double-digit sacks this year, I think it's probably worth it.
Well, and it's also not untradeable if you want to try to trade him before you were to cut him if he wasn't fitting your scheme the way you would hope. But I don't see why he wouldn't. It seems like he chose to be with Jonathan Gannon this past year. I don't see why he wouldn't want to be with him again.
He absolutely wants to be with him.
The way Zaire Franklin has been talking about Jonathan Gannon, you would think that these guys that have played for him before, they all would want to come back and play for him again.
I wasn't necessarily sold on Gannon coming in to be that guy. Wasn't all that sold. But the more you hear guys talk about him, the more I'm buying into this was probably a good hire. Because again, there's not a lot of defensive coordinators I can remember where guys were lining up and saying, I want to go play for him. I want him to be my DC. I'll come to Green Bay and play for him. I mean, we had Reggie White where guys wanted to come play with him. But other than that, dude, there haven't been many coaches or players that have been able to attract guys to Green Bay to come play for the Packers because they're there. Like, there just haven't been many of those guys.
And you've had two of the greatest quarterbacks of all time walk through these buildings.
Correct.
And they still couldn't attract that type of talent. I think Micah Parsons was able to do that in his first year with the Packers, bringing in Trevon Diggs and helping them out in the last few years. And I know there are a few games that I know that didn't really end up working out, but it was at least a sign that he was going to be able to do that moving forward here. If Jonathan Gannon can be that coach to also be able to bring those guys in while Micah Parsons continues to work on his side of things, not only do you have one person doing that when you haven't had that in forever, now you have two guys potentially doing it. That's a big deal.
It's a gigantic deal. And that's another reason why, again, I think you look at this and you like it. Don't you think Micah Parsons would love having a veteran pass rusher on the other side of him for when he does come back? Now, Cowboys, you want to focus on me? Go right ahead. Josh Sweat's going to eat you alive. Oh, Bears, you want to focus on me? Go ahead. Because I got somebody on the other side. And you got both of us blocked. Anybody know where Edric Cooper is? Oh, he's got your quarterback on the ground. I guess you forgot about him. I mean, literally, it puts the defense in an unbelievably great situation and allows a lot of creativity for what Gannon wants to do.
Well, and I think that scares the other three NFC North teams too. All three of those squads are looking for a secondary pass rusher themselves. So if you can be the first team to go out there and get that player, you have a huge advantage over those other teams.
It's Charlie using C Sparky Fiver with you, asking you, Josh Sweat, not at OTAs for the Packers, apparently. not the OTA for the Cardinals, not the Packers, not an OTA for the Cardinals, apparently wants out of Arizona after he just signed a deal to come play for Jonathan Gannon. What would you be willing to give up to get into Green Bay? Is that somebody you would want? From the 414 Sparky, that just makes too much sense for it to happen to the Packers, LOL. I would love nothing more. That would be perfect. From the 608 from Rhino, he says, I think a third and a sixth or seventh is a decent offer. Yeah, done. I'm in. I'll do that every day of the week if given the opportunity, right? I mean, you do that too.
Yeah, why not? I mean, they showed a 7th round pick doesn't matter that much to them. They traded 2 of them to trade up for a kicker. And yes, they made that guy the starting kicker, which I guess shows it did kind of matter a little bit more than we thought it did initially. At the same time, those picks just don't seem to be as valuable as they used to. And then if you're going to have as many picks like we talked about moving forward here, you have the room to trade one of those thirds, one of those fourths, and make it up later on.
That's correct. Josh Sweat last year had 12 sacks, 4 forced fumbles to go along with that. That's pretty good. I'd like 12 sacks in the backfield. How many is he going to have when he has Micah Parsons on the other side of him?
Hopefully at least 12.
6'5", 265, people. 6'5", 265. Legitimate. Former 4th round pick in 2018 out of Florida State. That's the type of stuff you really, really want. That is a difference maker. That's, if you're Goody, that's how you say, and that's the cherry on top of the sundae to end our offseason.
As a team last year, the Arizona Cardinals had 30 sacks.
He had 12 of them.
He had 12 of their 30 sacks.
He had almost half the sacks.
Yeah, that would be nice to have. I think that's really, truly the last kind of, like you said, cherry on top to this Packers defense, especially while you wait for Micah Parsons to come back. If you go into week 5 with Micah Parsons coming back that week 5 game against the Chicago Bears, and then you have Josh Sweat on the other side, that scares that Bears team. Especially
if in the first 4 weeks, Josh Sweat has 4 sacks already, or 4 or 5 sacks in the first 4 weeks. He's cooking with gas, and now you have Micah Parsons on the other side.
I mean, with how confident Bears fans have been to be chanting that the Packers sucks at the Brewers games, the way that the Score Chicago has been saying, oh, the Packers or the Bears are the villains of the NFL now because they beat the Packers once in the playoffs. Like, shut that all up. You could do that pretty easy by making this trade.
That's exactly right. Shut it all down at that point. All right, take a quick time out. Come back on the other side. Got to get to Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Looking forward to doing that. But first, let me tell you about my friends over there at Habish, and Rotier. Now, first of all, we know we have Plead the Fifth tomorrow. Plead the Fifth tomorrow. Yesterday, Josh Albrecht was in there minding his own business, doing his production work and doing his stuff, and got called onto the air by 9 to noon. And they had some type of conversation going on about Trevor Thomas's crush on UW Green Bay head coach Doug Gottlieb. So they came to Josh. John Kuhn did. John Kuhn's like, man, you're off the next couple of days. It doesn't matter. By the time you come back, Trevor will have forgotten about it, whatever. And Josh goes, yeah, I think I'm just going to do what Sparky does on Fridays. I think I'm just going to plead the fifth on this one. And they all busted out laughing, and he didn't want to answer. I'm telling you, that's what it's here for, right? Plead the fifth. Guys that should just shh, like Josh did, so he didn't get himself in trouble, and just don't say anything. But so many times people just keep talking and talking and talking and get themselves in trouble. So who would you want to see plead the fifth? That's every Friday at 4:20. But we always talk about Habish Rotier. If you're hurt in a car accident, that's who you go to. Around since 1930, 13 locations around the state of Wisconsin, including Wausau, Appleton, Green Bay, southeastern Wisconsin, all that fun stuff. You check them out at Habish.com. But they're doing a very cool thing right now. And they're focusing on car seats for kids. And I still got a child in a car seat. When was the last time you checked your kid's car seat? Even if it looks fine, it may be recalled or expired and no longer meet safety standards. The right car seat reduces the risk of fatal injury by 70%, but only if it's safe and current. Visit Habish.com/car seats. That's Habish.com/car seats to see if your seat needs to be replaced. Brought to you by the attorneys, of course, at Habish, and Rotier. I am guilty of hardly ever checking mine. I'll be the first one to tell you. Do you know what I always check mine for?
What's that?
my kid heavy enough to get out of this damn thing so I can get out of my car? Like, that's all I care about. Are they tall enough? Are they heavy enough? I want this out of my car so they can sit in, even if it's a booster seat, takes up way less space than one of these car seats do. Like, way less space.
Yeah,
and of course, I got a bunch of small kids, so it takes forever for them to get out of the car
I'm
seat.
excited for all of that.
But
man.
definitely the expiration
you don't
date.
make me excited for kids, man.
I've done that to every producer I've ever had. I do that. Even just people that friends that I have that don't have kids. Rami Makloff today came in my office, and him and I were talking about something. And he was asking me what we were doing this week, and I was telling him, that me and her, we might want to go to a Schnalla this weekend in the Dells.
Right, yeah.
And her mom's going to watch the kids, can be
Nice,
great,
yeah.
right? Have a little adult time away from the kids.
Mhm.
I was like, man, I don't have any sitters that live around us. We don't got nobody, whatever. So we don't get the alone time. So Rami looks at me, he goes,
He could use the practice.
Rami goes, maybe we should watch your kids, kind of get practice for this. I started laughing. I said, I don't think that's a good idea.
Why not? Why not? You don't think he can handle it?
That kid's going to come out and Rami's going to be trying to push that kid back in. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea.
It's going to go and maybe your kid's going to come out the best behaved child on earth, and Rami's a natural.
Whose kid's the best behaved on earth?
Yours.
Mine?
Yeah, they're going to be.
No, okay, look. My kids are well behaved for others. Just not for us.
Oh.
For others in school, the teachers love them in school. Like the best behaved kid ever, blah, 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 right? Around family members, oh, they're so cute, they're so well behaved. Us, on the other hand, no. In fact, the other day at one of the baseball, I think it was a baseball game, the 3-year-old started acting up and having a little bit of a temper tantrum. And one of the parents was completely shocked, called us over and said, I've never seen her act up before. You should come to our house and see for yourself. She does it every day. But rarely do you ever see it in public. So, yeah. No, I don't.
Yeah, so then he'd be fine, is what you're saying. So I think he should,
yeah, he might be.
Yeah, so I think let him try it.
He might be.
Let's see what happens. Let him report back on Monday.
You have no idea how happy I am that boy is having a baby. You just have no idea. When I found out, man, he's like, I don't understand why you are so excited. I was like, because I've been waiting for this for a long, long time. And I thought we were going to miss the boat and you weren't going to be able to have one. But now that it's coming in November, I cannot wait.
He's had a big past couple of years.
Yes, he has.
Gotten married, back on WI Sports Radio, having a kid.
Yes.
That's huge.
Life is rolling Rami right now, baby. Everything's coming up Rami. All right, Charlie Sounds of the Day coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Here we are. And bumper music's good. Step up to the plate, take a shot at winning major prizes in the $300,000 Big League Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. April through June, you can win a share of $300,000 in prizes. All monthly promo entries count towards the grand finale drawings on June 26th. Get triple the entries during Brewers home games. Score one of 3 all-new Toyota vehicles. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play. Only at Potawatomi. Got a couple of text messages coming in here in the break. Dominic in Hales says, that's a sign of respect, Sparky, about my kids behaving for others and not for us necessarily. Dominic says they hold it together all day and around others and feel safe to let it out around their parents. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Means you're a good parent. You're doing a good job.
Yeah, I don't know if they agree with you, but sure. From the 414, Rami as a future parent is just a terrifying proposition. Nah.
He's going to be awesome.
Dude, he's going to be awesome. Like, I have no worries about Rami as a parent, dude. That dude has so much patience, is such a happy dude most of the time. I mean, you listen to his show, he laughs for like 75% of it. Like, trust me, he's going to be awesome.
Has he ever talked to you about baby names? Like,
No.
No, never.
No. I've never talked to the boy about a baby name in my life. Not that I know. Well, I take that back. When we were pregnant with the 10-year-old, maybe he and I had a conversation about baby names for me, for the kid. But I don't believe him and I, well, I know him and I have not had a baby conversation with him. Could you imagine if it's Rami Jr.?
I think, yeah, RJ. Yeah. I always like the blank J, like nickname. So I have like, my plan is Charles Jr. if I have a son.
Does she agree with you?
Yeah.
You've talked about it?
Okay with that, yeah.
Nice. I'm the 4th and wanted the 5th, and she was absolutely 1,000% opposed to it, would not allow it to happen. So that never got to happen.
My dad is the 3rd. So
really?
He cut the line after
he did. So you could have been the 4th.
I could have been. I still had like Thaddeus is their name. That's still in my name, but
right. But that doesn't count. No, that doesn't count. Well, that's too bad. Whatever Robbie picks out is absolutely fine with me. It doesn't really matter. I just can't wait. Like, he was there the night the 10-year-old was born, in the hospital room, holding the baby in the chair, the whole deal. So hopefully I get to do that with him and his girl. That would be a lot of fun.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Ziggy texted, you guys make sure you buy Rami's kid a Brewers onesie. You want that kid growing up right. Man, we're going to have like a baby clothing drive, I think, for that kid, and make sure everybody donates, like Packers and Badgers and Bucks. Like, we're doing the toy drive. Maybe we'll have a Rami clothing drive with the toy drive.
That should line up pretty decently.
Right. You can come drop off clothes for Rami's kid to make sure he rates for the right sports teams at the toy drive, and then drop off a toy for the kids at Children's Wisconsin.
That's a good idea.
I mean, it's 20 years this year. 20th year of doing the toy drive.
That's crazy. That's a long time. It's almost as old as me.
And that probably means she's having the kid in November. That probably means he will not be at the toy drive this year because he'll probably still be on paternity leave, would be my guess.
Yeah, we can probably get him out there a little bit. You know, we can see it. We got to give him his new clothes some way, somehow.
If that kid's born on like a Monday night or something like that, I'd love to do the show from the room on Tuesday afternoon. That'd be fun.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Give Rami a headset, right? And I'll be in there with my headset on. She won't mind. And we'll do the show from the afternoon, from the room. It'll be fine.
Yeah, she won't.
Charlie Sounds of the Day. What do you got?
All right. First up, we're going to hear from our friend and Rami's friend, John Kuhn, and also our friend, Matt Steinman, on the Tundra podcast that they have together. And they were discussing why they both think Matt LaFleur is the Packer under the most pressure this season.
This isn't new for the offense anymore. I'm not talking about Matt LaFleur, the head coach, as much as I'm talking Matt LaFleur, the offensive coordinator. This offense needs to be humming. It might need to carry the weight early in the season with Micah Parsons being out. And I think Matt LaFleur has got, a big test coming up here this year, especially early on in the season.
Yeah, I think, look, there may not be, I don't know this for a fact, I'm just speculating. There may or may not be something in his contract that says, oh, you got to make the playoffs in one of the next 2 seasons, you're fired. We don't know the intricacies of that contract. So in terms of job status, how much pressure is there on him after he got the extension? I don't know. I'm just talking about the intangible pressure of okay, you've been the 7 seed for 3 straight years. This young core that you had a couple years ago, that was an excuse in 23 when you go to San Francisco and lose in the divisional round. There are no excuses anymore. You had the injuries last year. Could be injuries again this year, but there is pressure mounting, I think, at least from the fan base on the floor for, okay, again, with Jordan Morgan, with Van Ness, it's time to put up or shut up. With LaFleur, it's time to put up or shut up. And if he isn't able to live up to that, it may not cost him his job, but what good are you in Green Bay if you don't make a deep, deep run and win a championship? He's been here 7 years. There is absolutely pressure on him to finally get over that hump, John Coon.
Well, that Hall of Fame quarterback couldn't figure it out for him, so that didn't help matters either. But it does not matter what I think of Matt LaFleur. It does not matter what Charlie thinks. It does not matter what Matt Schneidman thinks. It does not matter what John Kuhn thinks. The only person that matters to is Ed Policy. And if Ed Policy thinks that he is fine and he's going to be the guy for the next 3 to 5 years, then he's going to be the guy for the next 3 to 5 years. I don't care if y'all go outside in front of Lambeau with little signs that say fire LaFleur. It's not going to matter unless that man stops believing. So if you want to know the quickest way to get Matt LaFleur fired, if that's something you're rooting for as a Packers fan, if you want Matt out, the quickest way to get that man fired is Jordan Love throws 15 interceptions, has a career worst year. Then he probably gets canned. But providing that doesn't happen, providing he goes out there and has another big year, no chance. He ain't going anywhere.
No shot.
No shot. What do you got?
All it takes is a playoff appearance.
Yep.
Next up, we're going to hear from Bucks big man Bobby Portis as he is on the Run It Back podcast with his buddies that he's always on with over there, and they were discussing the Miles Turner.
Culture always been great for us. Obviously, if you play ball in NBA and you play ball in any professional sport, obviously, superstar players get treated differently. You feel me? I'm not saying my guy was
it's just the nature of the
two and a half hours later, whatever. It can be over exaggeration.
Bobby, I played with a gentleman named Allen Iverson. And I also played with another gentleman named Kobe Bryant and James Harden. And you would wait there for 2 hours?
Can I ask, what's late mean?
I thought that was bogus.
So said, no way. 2 hours?
What is late? Like, is
Nah,
late?
I know 2 hours. 15 minutes max.
15 minutes?
Ain't no
Yeah,
way.
it wasn't two. I've never been on a team where
We're leaving
somebody
going
was
for
2
that.
hours late.
Yeah, ain't
Like
nobody
I
going
think
for
that was like over exaggerated.
Milwaukee not even that damn big.
And if it's,
Nah,
and if it's
ain't that much
Giannis, just
traffic
get
out
your
there.
own plane. Get
It's
your
not
own
gonna take
plane.
you two. Like, come on, man.
There ain't even that much traffic out there, bro.
Exactly.
I can get from my crib all the way in the suburbs to the airport in 20 minutes.
So this is the thing. If it was only 15 minutes, that's all it was. He ain't saying it's 2 hours. Like, I'm not saying it was 2 hours, but there ain't no way it was 15 minutes.
Bobby also never said it was 15 minutes.
Correct.
He
And
just
that's
said
exactly
it wasn't 2
right.
hours.
Right. I mean, come on, man. And then they're all like, well, I mean, Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, James Harden. So apparently,
Yeah, they got too many people on that show.
Yes,
There's
they do.
Too many people
Yeah.
talking.
But like we said before, and I stated it, I don't know what it's like to be a superstar in the NBA. I don't know how old these guys are in the NBA. I'm just talking from my perspective as you're the dude, you're the leader of the team. You should be following the rules as much as anybody, so everybody else follows in line behind you. And if you ain't going to do it, don't be chastising or critical of everybody else when they blow off film sessions and don't do anything either. You can't have it both ways. That's not how it works. And again, James Harden, well, not exactly somebody I'm going to model myself after to begin with. Coming up next, Green and Gold Update. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is time again. Thanks for tuning us in. Hour number 3, 4 o'clock hour here on Thursday. Wisconsin Sports Wrap Up with Tommy Wirtz comes up from 5 to 6. He gives you the best of what happened earlier today. Definitely want to tune that in. If you missed anything on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network today, all these shows are in podcast form as well. Just download it. We download your favorite podcast app, whether it's Spotify, Apple, wherever it may be, or simply go to the website, wisportsradio.com. You can download the podcast there. And don't forget, we're streaming shows too. Right now, this show's streaming on Instagram Live, on X, on YouTube, all at WI Sports Radio, and of course on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page as well. You can check us out streaming there too if you would like, or just stream the audio version at wisportsradio.com. It is 4 o'clock, which means it's always time for one of our favorite segments.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
I don't know what I expect when I go to websites and they do grades for anything involving my favorite teams. Like, I feel that I go in with expectations that they're always going to get A's or B's. And then when I don't see A's or B's, I get angry. Like, why do they not like my team? Right? I mean, do you do the same thing? Or you go to the power rankings and you're like, well, Brewers clearly a top 5 team. And they're 7. And you're like, screw you. How are they not a top 5 team? Or Packers power rankings, they're like 5-1 and they're like out of the top 5. What are we talking about here? How are they not in the top 5?
I mean,
I always get mad at that stuff, even though we don't talk about it on the air because I think they're dumb for the most part, even though we don't really talk about it. But it could be anything that involves a grade or a number, lining teams up. And if my favorite team's not in the top, outside of the Bucks last year, they didn't deserve to be in the top of anything other than the lottery, which they screwed that up too. Outside of that, but yeah, you expect more. And this is no different when I went to CBS Sports today. How do you view it when you go looking for something for the Bears or the Cubs or something?
I would say if they're like within the range of where I was thinking. So like if I'm thinking, oh, my favorite team's a top 5 team, they end up being number 7, number 8. I'm not freaking out about that. I'm okay with that. It's only if it's like egregiously out of the range that I'm in. So if they're having them at number 18 and I'm thinking they're number 5, that's crazy to me. But for the most part, like I would say most outlets are pretty fair to Wisconsin sports teams. I think a lot of these groups give them at least positive rankings for the most part in most categories.
Sometimes. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I guess we'll get there with you.
Well, but I also think that probably plays into why you get mad when they don't do that, because it's out of the ordinary when they don't.
Correct. That's exactly correct. Right. So on CBS Sports, they give grades to the off seasons of all the different NFL teams. I was like, okay, let's go see where they got the Packers. Did they give the Packers an A for the off season? Mm-mm. Did they give the Packers an A minus? No. B plus. Mm-mm. B as in boy? B. No. B minus? No. A C for the offseason for the Packers? No, not a C either. No, they didn't give them a C for the offseason. No. A C minus is what they gave your Green Bay Packers for their offseason. Just breathe. Now, I looked at the other NL Central teams. They all have C's. Or the NFC North, I should say. They have C's. So it's not like anybody in this division has anything higher than a C anyhow. Now, notable departures. Malik Willis, Romeo Dobbs, Rashawn Gary, Quay Walker, Rasheed Walker, Elton Jenkins, Dontavian Wicks. When you read that, what are you reading? You're reading starter in Dobbs, starter in Gary, starter in Walker, starter in Rasheed Walker and Quay Walker, and a starter in Elton Jenkins. Like, that is 5 starting players that left in the offseason that now you are going to have to replace with somebody that was not a starter previously.
And an important backup in Malik Willis that was able to give you a different kind of dynamic on offense when he came in that you're replacing with somebody who's maybe not as good right now at that point in their career.
So CBS Sports gives the Packers a C- for the offseason grade. Do you agree? Would you have given them something differently? Maybe you would have even been more harsh towards the Packers offseason of what Brian Gutekunst did. Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. The additions, Javon Hargrave, Zaire Franklin, Brandon Cisse, Sky Moore, and literally the only rookie that made as a notable addition because they cut the kicker is Trey Smack. That's the other notable addition. Nobody else in the draft class made notable additions.
Cisse. He said
Cisse too, yeah. So two guys make that in there. This is what it says. Doesn't feel like Green Bay got noticeably better this offseason. The Packers made moves along the defense, adding Hargrave, Franklin, and Cisse, but none of those exactly moved the needle. Meanwhile, they lost Quay Walker, who led the team in tackles last season, and Rashawn Gary, who was second behind Micah Parsons in sacks. When you throw in the loss of defense coordinator Jeff Hafley, the defense could take a bit of a step back. Moreover, Romeo Doubs, one of their most reliable receivers, and both Rasheed Walker and Elton Jenkins were solid along the offensive line. To which I say this person who wrote this piece did not watch the Green Bay Packers last year. Elton Jenkins barely played, and especially barely played healthy when he was out there. So you forget about Elton Jenkins. That's why Sean Ryan had to move over to center. That's number one. Number two, it's not like Gannon is some crappy defensive coordinator. Or it's not like Gannon has never been a defensive coordinator. Now, if he was a first-time coordinator coming off of Hafley, I'd say, yeah, okay, that's probably a fair assessment because you don't know how good of a coordinator he is. But he has proven over the course of a time to be a pretty good defensive coordinator. Point number three, Rashawn Gary didn't have a sack the whole second half of the season. Why are we acting like he was a force the whole season? He wasn't a force the whole season. He wasn't. Now, that's not to say he might not go to Dallas and be a force there all season. But here in Green Bay, when Micah was out there, he got his 7.5 sacks. When Micah was gone, he got nothing. And again, I look at the last hour when we were talking about Josh Sweat of the Cardinals possibly being available for a trade. You've got 12 sacks last year. He had no Micah Parsons opposite of him. Could you imagine what he gets if he had Micah Parsons opposite him, like Rashawn Gary got? Before last year started, I looked at Charlie. I said, do you know who the most pressure is on this football team right now because of this trade? Charlie's like, who? I said, Rashawn Gary. He's never had double-digit sacks in his life. Now is your time to go get double-digit sacks. If you don't, it's time to go. Halfway through the season, 7.5. I'm like, oh my God, he's on pace for like 14 or 15. This is amazing. We finally got what we wanted. He just needed somebody better than him on the other side. Into thin air after Micah Parsons.
It wasn't even that he was bad, dude, or just not doing anything. He was just negative. Like everything about his play was he was giving up on plays over and over again for this Packers defense once Micah Parsons wasn't out there. Other guys would be chasing the ball and he'd still be behind 20 yards because he gave up 10 seconds ago earlier. Like it was just atrocious to watch him play. And you could pinpoint where he was. He wouldn't even be getting double teamed, and he would just be getting manhandled and would let it happen if he felt like he was losing a rep. It was so frustrating to watch him play football that anybody giving any more type of effort would be nice for this Packers defense moving forward.
Well, and that's the other thing too about it is when we start talking about this Packers team and what the offseason looks like and so forth, and you talk about notable additions. But if we're being honest about who needs to have the biggest impact, really, Hargrave has to have an impact for sure. Zaire Franklin,
nah.
But him saying that Goody's wanted him for 6 years, that's eye-opening to me. And we played that sound yesterday. Like that's
how much he loves Gannon.
That's crazy.
We haven't heard Gannon really talk about him, but we haven't heard Gannon talk about anything.
Anybody, really. No. So Zaire Franklin, I don't know if he has to have a huge impact, though. Hargrave does. You have to know Hargrave's out there. At least from the run-stopping ability, you have to know Hargrave's out there. Sky Moore on special teams as a punt returner and kick returner could have the biggest impact of all of these people on this list just by simply taking him from the bottom of the NFL. Even if you only got him to like 15th in the NFL, that's twice as good as what they had. And now you're changing field position dramatically, especially on punt returns. Like, that might be the biggest impact of the entire offseason outside of the kicker.
I want to wait and make sure he makes it on the roster first.
He's making it on the roster.
We did the same
they were
thing
like
with
a top 5 return guy last year.
We did the same thing with McCole Hartman last year.
Oh,
We got
he's not
all
Sky
excited
Moore.
about that because he's this returner that gives you a whole new dynamic in that game. He comes into the preseason and is just awful throughout all of it.
Yep.
Can't catch kicks, is giving shots on offense, can't make an impact on offense with that second team. Like, it's just awful, and then doesn't make it through the preseason, and then you're stuck with running 18 different guys out there all year long. I'm not putting any expectations on Sky Moore until he officially makes that roster.
No. He was a top 5 punt returner last year for the Niners. They were top 5 punt return unit. No, I absolutely am putting expectation. They have to be in the top half of the league in punt returns. Number 1. Number 2, I would love to see them be top 10 in kick returns. That is a gigantic difference from what we've watched for the last several years with this crappy special teams unit. The issue is then we're going to worry about the kicker making field goals. So we're going to fix those 2 issues, and then we could be back to worrying about the kicker again if Trey Smack isn't the answer because you decided you were going to move on from Brandon McManus.
Or Trey Smack's awesome, and you win a couple more games this year because your kicking game's more dynamic.
That would be amazing, right? That would be amazing. There's more pressure on him than anybody else they've had in the offseason. I don't think there's anybody else that has much pressure as he does. There isn't. There's nobody else. You didn't add a quarterback, so that's not it. You didn't add a pass rusher like you did last year with Micah Parsons, where, okay, you got to go get double-digit sacks to prove it was worth
him
it.
than Cisse to kind of fill in for what was atrocious at the end of the year in that cornerback room.
I have zero expectations for Brandon Cisse. Zero. Like, it would be nice if he could be the third or fourth cornerback. That'd be good. I have no expectation he starts.
Stop being that.
If he starts and he plays well, awesome. I'd be very excited if he.
But if he starts and isn't good, like if he starts and plays, you're not freaking out.
Then they got to bench him if he's not good. You bench Valentine, like you've got to be willing to bench him if he doesn't play well. If you're going to run him out there and start him,
nobody out there. Like,
but if you're going to, well, you got the dude, the free agent cornerback that you signed to.
St. Juice, yeah, right? Sure, okay.
I'm just saying. So you got him, you got Valentine, you got Nixon. Whoever plays the best gets the job. That's how I would run it. Like, I wouldn't give Valentine anything. I wouldn't. You guys are all playing for your job, including you, Keyshawn Nixon. You're all playing for your job. Whoever plays the best starts in week 1. Plain and simple, that's how it is. I don't know any of you cats if I'm Jonathan Gannon. Y'all play for your jobs. Let's see what happens. Did you see what the Cleveland coach said, Monken?
He looks depressed so far throughout the first couple practices.
Nah, he's just old. That's just how they look.
I don't know, man. He does not look happy.
Murphy never looks happy either. But
Murphy's got a little smile. He's got a little glint to him. He's got like old man charm. Like Don Monken looks like he just is done.
Maybe. There could be a difference there. Monken's talking about, first of all, he was talking about Deshaun Watson athletic ability and how much he's showing some more of that athletic ability that he had. So he's impressed by that. He's talking about how much Sanders' kid has improved so much at this point. Shador, he's taken really, really, really better than he was when I first got here, as far as learning how to read schemes, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's all good. But then as I'm reading this piece, it was a long piece, and I couldn't believe I actually sat down and read this whole piece on the Browns quarterbacks. But I'm reading through it, and at the end, Monken's like, I want to name a starter by training camp. By training camp? Based on what? You're going to name a starter based on OTAs?
Well, he also in that same kind of talking about the quarterbacks goes, yeah, but they're also throwing interceptions in 7-on-7. So we have problems there. It's not good. Like if they have no defense in front of them, it's only the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting anywhere. Like it just does not seem like a situation I would want to be a part of personally.
Well, but you knew that when you go out there, you knew going to Cleveland was gonna be tough. But you know,
if you can turn it around in one season, you get the Kevin Stefanski treatment, where no matter what happens after that, you're gonna get lauded as a savior.
Yeah, and then you get fired.
Yeah, but then you get a job wherever you want next. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. we'll see how this all plays out. People have a lot of hopes for Atlanta now with Stefanski there, and we'll see if that's justified or not. What is justified is you need to get your hands on that cookie dough frosty fusion. Wendy's new cookie dough frosty fusion is the ultimate feel-good snack. Everything from the cookie dough to the brownie batter sauce was made for max happiness. Go grab a new cookie dough frosty fusion today and get that dopamine flowing. Get it? Dopamine. You get it. It's like cookie dough. Yeah, you understand. Coming up next, Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco started a whole big stir today from the podcast that him and Shannon Sharp doing, talking about Giannis shopping for houses in Miami. We'll jump into that coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. There you go. Bad to the bone. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer. Charlie Usen, other side of the glass, producing today's show. Still to come, things Sparky missed coming up in the last segment of the show. And then at 5 o'clock, it's Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up. Brewers with the off day today. They get the Dodgers coming to American Family Field coming up tomorrow. And we shall see how that whole thing plays out. We get Henderson on the mound tomorrow. So, again, as we look at the pitching matchups, Yamamoto versus Sproat on Sunday doesn't feel like that's a fair fight for the Brewers. So you're probably going to have to figure out a way to win with Henderson and then Gosser getting another start, which he wasn't all that great his last start. So we'll hope he's better in his second start coming up on Saturday. All right, so I mentioned earlier that Chad Johnson, a.k.a. Ocho Cinco, was on with Mr. Sharp, Shannon Sharp, on his podcast called Nightcap. And they were talking about what Ocho Cinco is hearing about Giannis.
As I've told y'all, I think during the season, early in the season, that Giannis was already searching for a house down here in Miami. I just didn't want to mess up the conversation. So he will be down here in Miami. And when it does happen, I told at my sources, I'm, just for the.
Hold on. So Miami getting him and Ja?
I'm not sure about Ja. I'm not sure about Ja's situation, but Giannis is damn near is in the bag. Because the realtor who's looking for the house, you know what? I don't want to spill too much beans, but they house shopping and all that. So
okay. So he's saying they're house shopping. They can house shop. I'm fine with that. You want to have a summer house in Miami, Giannis? You go right ahead and have a summer house in Miami. But in the fall, in the winter, in the spring, you live here in Milwaukee. You can go shop for a summer house. Not a lot of people that have money can have, their summer house or summer cottage or whatever the case may be. That's fine. Barry Jackson, who I'm trying to get on the show for tomorrow. We'll see if that happens. He's covered the Heat for 35 years, been around a long, long time. I had several tweets about all of this. As Bucks co-owner Jimmy Haslam said, Bucks prefer resolution on Giannis before the draft. One big reason why, among teams that reportedly have been linked to Giannis, 5 of them, Heat, Lakers, Knicks, Cleveland, Minnesota, cannot offer any first-rounders this decade if the trade is not agreed to by draft night. If the trade is agreed to by draft night, those 5 teams can either trade next month's first rounder to the Bucks or can pick a player for them, as the Heat could theoretically do at pick number 13. Houston and Boston would be the logical speculative potential Giannis suitors who would benefit most by this extending past the draft and into July and August if either the Rockets or Celtics could pursue him. Barry Jackson then says, I didn't mention Golden State because the Bucks like the Heat's offer more than the Warriors offer in early February, and the Warriors don't suddenly have more to offer. Best Warriors could do is the 11th pick, first in 28, 30, and 32, Draymond and backups. And then in parentheses, he put Windy, who is a really good guy and great on TV, like that offer a lot more than the Bucks did, apparently. That is Barry Jackson, who, again, we're going to try and get on this show in the near future to talk more about all of this stuff going on with Giannis. I just cannot, in my mind, get my head wrapped around the idea of liking what they potentially could get back for Giannis. Now, Gary Wolfel also is partaking in this. He also is talking about our NBA insider, not in a racing. He also is talking about potential deals that he's hearing. The Heat are odds-on favorite to land Giannis in a trade. Here is the package some NBA officials told me the Heat is offering the Bucks, and my personal opinions on each of the individuals involved. We don't need to go over the personal opinions, but this is what he's saying. Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, Khalil Ware, and then draft pick wise, this year's 13th overall pick, and 2 future first round picks. So 3 ones essentially, Ware, Jaquez, and Tyler Hero. The question is, do you think the Heat can provide the Bucks a package for Giannis that would actually make you happy. This is one of the suggested packages that Gary is throwing out there as a potential deal between the Heat and the Bucks if Giannis tries to push his way and force his way to the Miami Heat. That's if he actually doesn't want to be in Milwaukee, which, again, publicly, he still has not stated. Charlie Usen, what say you on that deal?
I think I'd be able to work with that. I don't know if I love it as is. I think I need maybe a few more picks, find other ways to get creative, get a third team in there maybe to bring in some kind of other value back to the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't hate the players. Like, I really do like Tyler Hero. I think if you compare him with the right pieces around him, he can make you a playoff team, and maybe even better if you can load the squad around him with the right pieces like I'm talking about. I think Miami's been able to do that the past couple of years, but with players that maybe haven't been better than him, but are at the same caliber of player that he is, that do other things in the game that he can't do. And I think that's really important to work with a Tyler Hero if you're going to make that deal work. Now, I don't know if I fully think the Bucks can do that. I know you're going to have extra draft picks now, and that can help you out with that. So I'm interested in this trade, but I think you just got to rework it to give yourself some more of a safety net pick-wise in order to make that work. I think you can make this happen, though. And I think the Miami Heat, if they're savvy enough, and I think that Pat Riley is savvy enough, will go out there and try to make something happen.
I think the offer sucks. I have no interest in doing anything with the Miami Heat, not for that. The centerpiece of that deal is Tyler Hero. You can keep it. I have no interest, none.
You hate him so much.
From the 414, hilarious. He ain't going to Miami. Not for that trash offer from the 414. I agree. I'm not making that deal. Barry Jackson quote tweets that deal. It says they would also probably have to throw in Niko Jovic in order to make this work salary cap wise. Again, that does nothing for me. Then he says this would be a good offer if cap rules are satisfied. Simple enough. However, Jackson's concern is if Boston offers Jaylen Brown or the Wolves offer 2 or 3 among 6 good players plus 2 first-round picks, or the Rockets offer some combo of Sengun, Shepard, Jabari Smith, plus unprotected first-rounder from Phoenix in 27, and one of the 2 most favorable picks among its own, Houston's and Dallas's in 29. Now that I'm more interested in.
I don't know. I don't think Sengun and Jabari Smith are that much more interesting to me than Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware.
Listen, he says offer some combo of Sengun, Shepard, Jabari Smith, unprotected 1 from Phoenix in 27. I like that. And then one of the 2 most favorable picks among its own, Houston's and Dallas's in 2029.
Houston this season was one of the best teams in basketball already. Yes, they bounced out of the playoffs early, and now they're adding Giannis
in 2029, right? So that's what, 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How old's Durant going to be? Is he still going to be there? And how old's Giannis going to be by that point?
Well, in this case, you're probably not keeping Durant, would be my guess.
Well, then he goes in a separate deal somewhere else if you do that.
Right.
But then why are you making this deal? If you're not keeping Durant and you're sending off Sengun, Shepard, or Jabari Smith, 2 of those 3, let's say, and you're getting back Giannis, what are you left with? What are you going to win a championship with?
The rest of the
if
team,
I'm Giannis, I don't think
8 guys that were on that roster this year.
That's not beating OKC or San Antonio with what's left.
I don't know. A healthy Giannis, I think, gives you a better chance in my mind than a healthy Kevin Durant on his own. Each of those players on their own.
Let me look up. Let me see here. I want to look up the Rockets depth chart. After you take off those players, what is left for them to compete with? That's, to me, is the biggest issue for any NBA team trading for Giannis. If the Bucks are going to get what they want, you're going to have to trade a ton in order to make it work. So let's see. What are you left with? Van Vliet, Amen Thompson, then Giannis, then Dorian Finney-Smith and Steven Adams. That's your starting 5, I guess. And then your backups would be Tari Eason, Amen Thompson, Josh Okogie. That's your, and then you don't have a backup center at that point. Oh, Clint Capella, I guess. Is he still on that team?
Yep.
Capella, then, I guess, would be a backup to Steven Adams.
Yeah. I think you could survive with that, too.
If you keep Durant, it makes more sense. Then it's Giannis and Durant with Van Vliet, Amen Thompson, and Steven Adams.
But just the way that that whole saga has played out throughout the season between Durant and the Rockets feels like they probably just that's rather move on from that distraction that is Kevin Durant at this point.
Right. And I don't know what's going to happen there. The other thing that's going on right now is there's a lot of talk going on around Kyrie Irving and whether or not he's staying. Now, they're saying initially in Dallas that they were going to figure out a way to keep Kyrie Irving going forward. But if Kyrie Irving gets put out there on the block, that may be a way that Houston says, no, we're not interested in Giannis. We're going to go get Kyrie to play with Durant again. Those two guys want to play together, and they're going to make a deal to go get Kyrie. Now, that takes him off the table. LeBron is a free agent as well this offseason. I mean, there's going to be a lot going into where Giannis goes, depending on how many big names are out there via free agency or via trade. This isn't just going to be about Giannis probably at the end of the day.
No, it's not. It's going to be, like you said, LeBron James. It's going to be Kyrie Irving. It's going to be Kawhi Leonard. It's going to be Jaylen Brown.
Ja Morant.
Potentially Jason Tatum if the Celtics are willing to offer him too. You're going to have a lot of big name players that are going to have their names out in this market. And I think that Giannis may be one of the last ones to get moved on from because so many teams are going to try to put a talented squad around Giannis first before trading for Giannis. That's how the Cleveland Cavaliers went and built that squad around LeBron. You got to make sure you can win if you're going to bring in Giannis.
I think I want Jaylen Brown. Of all these options, I think Jaylen Brown is the one I want. And again, Jaylen Brown may be like, yeah, to hell with that. I'm not living in Milwaukee and being on a crappy team, right? So he may throw an almighty fit and be a malcontent, and then you end up having to move him anyhow if you make that deal for him. But that's the closest thing you have to a star player to build around in what's being offered out there. Now, the other part of this is what if they go the other way? What if the Bucks get in on Kyrie Irving and they go to Dallas and go, look, we'll give you our 3 ones that we have available, and then Bobby Portis and Kyle Kuzma on expiring deals for Kyrie Irving. And you bring in Kyrie Irving to play with Giannis and Miles Turner and Ryan Rollins and go at it that way and try to go compete and do something in the Eastern Conference. Does that make them a championship team if you add Kyrie Irving with Giannis, with Miles Turner, with Ryan Rollins, and then I guess Ousmane Deng and whatever? They won't have a draft pick, so it's going to be what they have on the roster.
I mean, the East just sucks. So I think that, yes, that probably does help them compete in the Eastern Conference. I don't think that helps you beat OKC or San Antonio at this point, though.
Giannis hasn't said he wants to go to the team. Giannis just says he wants to win and have a chance to come out of the East. That's what he's saying. If you get Kyrie, again, remember, that's old Kyrie.
He's got to stay on the court.
Right, and old Giannis.
And he's got to stay on the court.
This is like old Lillard and old Giannis.
They both have to stay on the court.
So if you go roll this way and you give up your future 3-1s, you're screwing yourself even more into the future.
Extra committing to Miles Turner,
yes,
who now is stirring the pot real bad so far this summer.
I wonder how late Kyrie will be to things.
The way Bobby Portis responded to that, I run it back to clip that I played before, like, that kind of feels more like Miles Turner is the guy that potentially game. Again, I don't think he says that without him or Giannis, one of them, not being on this team.
Well, Bobby's Giannis's guy. So, I mean, Bobby is definitely not stepping on Giannis.
There's and I
no
think
chance.
If the ownership or the management wanted to go to Bobby Portis to hear his opinion, he's in. Miles Turner, get his butt up
out of here.
Yeah.
Right. But odds are Bobby's not going to be here. If they blow this up.
Oh, yeah. Bobby's one of the first gone. He's one of the guys that teams are interested in.
Right? I would think you could get something for him.
I would think so. Golden State wants him, according to rumors. Boston wants him, according to rumors. There's a lot of veteran teams.
He could go in a Jaylen Brown deal.
Uh-huh.
And the other part of this is you could end up on a 3-team deal again, where Giannis goes to one spot, Jaylen Brown goes to one spot, and then you get the leftover of all the picks coming and everything else.
I hate that.
That's
so gross.
To me, I really think they're going to
just like the ultimate, just waving the white flag.
Yes, that's what I would do. However, I don't think that's what they're going to do. They're going to try and be around the 8 or 9 seed next year and try and keep it in place so they can still sell tickets and not bottom out. That's, I think, is going to be how they're going to go about this. Could be wrong, but it feels like that's the plan.
At least it would be something different. Like if you're going to move on from Giannis, I want you to still find a way to compete. And if that means you can get a Jaylen Brown, if that means you can get an Alperen Sengun, even though I don't think he's
Sengun's not going to. What's Sengun going to do?
Nothing. Like I think that's like I think the Rockets trades are so bad. I would much rather have a lot of these other guys that we're talking about. I think Evan Mobley I'd rather have like just anybody else than Sengun at this point.
Charlie, using over there. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Let me tell you about my friends over there at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Step up to the plate. Take a shot at winning major prizes in the $300,000 Big League Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee, April through June. You win a share of $300,000 in prizes. All monthly promo entries count towards the grand finale drawing on June 26th. Get triple the entries during Brewers home games and score one of 3 all-new Toyota vehicles. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play. Only at Potawatomi. Coming up next, things Sparky missed. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Don't forget, Plead the Fifth. Brought to you by, holy cow, was that close there to Charlie's face there. Woo!
That was a dramatic zoom. Yeah.
Wow, that was a dramatic zoom. You can see Charlie's Magnum PI looking face over there on X, on YouTube, on Instagram Live at WI Sports Radio. Miss anything on today's show, go back and listen to it in podcast form at wisportsradio.com or anywhere you download your favorite podcast, or simply text Sparky to the Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250 to get the link sent directly to you for today's show. Again, text Sparky to the Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250. It is the last segment of the show, which means we tend to do this.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now.
All right, let's hear from a bunch of different people. I got a bunch of stuff I want to play that we've had sitting here. Bruce Levine, who was an insider for 670 The Score down in Chicago. We tried to get him on the show Monday, I guess it was, and we had technical issues when you couldn't figure it out. So we weren't able to get Bruce Levine on. However, he's always on down there in Chicago, and he was on The Score with Mully and Haw, the morning show. We always have David Haw on this show. He was on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network earlier in the week on Monday previewing the series. Who was he on with? I think he was on with 9 to Noon with Rami and John Kuhn. So this was from today, right? Bruce Levine from earlier today. Check this out.
I mean, here's the number that is startling. In this 3-game series, they struck out 36 times in 81 outs. Okay, 44% of their outs in this series were strikeouts. 13, 13, 10. You know, it was just it was just 36 strikeouts. So the point is that yesterday's game, you know, they were okay defensively. You saw in the 9th inning, Council talked about this. You know, Nico Horner still busting it, and they weren't all distracted out there. But the at-bats seemed non-competitive most of the evening. Mm-hmm. And you're going after two of the best young pitchers in baseball the last 2 nights. So you have to consider that in my Droth and Harrison. They're outstanding, throwing heat and throwing strikes all night long. So I understand that, you know, when people say, well, you might be overstating it. But right now, you know, they need to pick themselves up.
Oh, the poor Cubs. Now they get the Astros next after a day off today. The Astros have been completely not good. They may blow that thing up here before the trade deadline. We'll see what happens in Houston. So you would think that Chicago rights the ship here in this next series, but there's a lot to try and right after how badly they played in 3 games. And that the striking out portion is probably, besides the defensive fiasco for the Cubs, but the Brewers dominating their hitters the way they did, with no matter who came out of the pen and took care of business for the most part against the Cubs, that was probably the most demoralizing thing of everything.
Right. And I think that becomes more demoralizing when you are having the errors that you're having on defense, when you're trying to make up for it with the bats that you're supposed to be able to make up for those types of errors for. Like, it's so frustrating to then go out there and be completely useless. It's not even like you're making a little bit of contact, you're popping it up. Like, these guys are just mowing you down. Yep. And 2 of these pitchers are younger than half of your team. That's got to be frustrating too.
Yep, I enjoyed it. And it was coming from both sides of the plate. It was so good. Daniel Vogelbach, obviously, is one of the new hitting coaches this year for the Brewers. And on Brewer territory with Kurt Hogue and JP Feyereisen and Corey Knebel, who was on earlier in this show. He joined us at 2:20. He was on for like 20 minutes. If you missed it, trust me, go back, listen to it. Knebel is really good.
WSsportsradio.com front page.
Front page, already got it up?
Yes, sir.
See, that's my guy, Charlie, man. He is all over it. I tell you right now, he's all over it. Jake Bowers was on Brewer territory talking about Vogelbach.
He's really good when it comes to approach and what you're looking for and what you want to eliminate. He talks a lot about specific pitchers and the traps that they try and set for you, right? Like, guys don't have success looking down and in because of that 12-6 curveball that's going down to your back foot. So you want to look more up and out. And I think when you think like that, it makes it a little bit easier to not chase, to swing at the pitches that you want to hit, as opposed to trying to go after just strikes. Because if you foul off the fastball down and in, and there's a banger 12-6 curveball coming on the back end of that, chances are you're probably swinging at the curveball in the dirt, as opposed to just letting them have the fastball down and in and waiting for something, that you can handle.
Vogelbach, immediate presence felt with these Brewers hitters. And so many times with fans, when an offense is struggling, the first person that gets called out is fire the hitting coach. Nowadays, these teams have 3 hitting coaches like the Brewers, so you don't even know which one to fire. They've taken all the pressure off of one guy and said, ha, 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 you can't fire all 3 of them. You don't even know who's in charge of whatever the case may be. So that has pretty much stopped that whole conversation. But it's good to hear Bowers, who's never played like this in his career, praising the new guy coming in.
Yeah, and that's after you criticized them last week when Joey Ortiz had his run into a couple ball moment game.
Yes.
You said he broke out of it, and you said, what are the 3 hitting coaches doing? He did
correct.
this on his own.
And coincidentally,
he sucks
again.
Yeah. Shocker. Who could have thunk that? I think it is really cool to see Daniel Vogelbach be able to come into this clubhouse and help out some of these hitters the way he is. I think the value in having 3 coaches in the hitting room is so that you can have 3 different guys to focus on little things that maybe each of these players are doing wrong differently. If it is for Jake Bowers learning how to focus that power that he's shown he's had into different moments and kind of situationalize all of these different types of at-bats, and that's what Dan Vogelbach can do for you, then that's awesome that the Brewers went out there and brought that in, and you can see it working.
Wisconsin Sports Daily with you, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Hughes, and things that we missed on today's show. Bob Nightingale was just on this show earlier this week, and he talks about the duo of Pat Murphy and Matt Arnold on the Foul Territory show with AJ Brzezinski earlier.
Are these 2 the best duo and front office manager in baseball?
It's an unbelievable duo. You're right. I mean, if we're talking about, Alex Anthopoulos of Atlanta, Andrew Freeman of LA, Matt Arnold's right there at Mount Rushmore with him. Can you imagine if Matt had some money to spend? But yeah, he's unbelievable. Then you talk about Murphy. If he wins the National League Manager of the Year award, they should, change the name to the Murph Award.
I love it.
It's unbelievable what he does.
How many has
He
council
gets so
won?
much out of that talent.
Oh, none. That's right.
I mean, look how the people they've traded over the years. They traded Freddie Peralta, Corbin Burns, 2 all-star closers on Devin Williams and Josh Hader, and they don't blink. But, hey, if I'm a team, I don't not trade with Matt Arnold. It's unbelievable what he does. And, look what Harrison is doing. Again, this for Caleb Durbin. All the guys they touch, the kid yesterday, Hamilton, gets a little league home run and a triple. So, yeah, you want to play for the Brewers. They get the most out of you. They know when to move a player to and when to acquire a player. So, yeah, I can't imagine what they would do with a $200 million payroll.
2 things, maybe 3 things out of this. We only got like 2 minutes left. Number 1, I don't want money if I'm Matt Arnold. I saw David Stearns with money, and now everybody wants him fired. I think I'm good. I'll just stay with my payroll. If I make the playoffs, I'm a hero. I don't need to go find a gigantic payroll. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and the crazy part about this is, man, you got Caleb Durbin in that trade. You turned him into a legitimate talking piece around Major League Baseball of how good he was, dealt him, and he shut right off when he went to Boston. He left Milwaukee, and it was just on poof away. Now, I don't know if he'd still be as good as he was last year, this year with Milwaukee, if it's simply the coaches or whatever the case may be. But it is wild how when guys leave Milwaukee, they just fall apart. And thirdly, when do we start getting the benefits of veteran dude wants to come ring chasing in Milwaukee, knows he can get the most bang for his buck to finish his career in Milwaukee, and have those guys wanting to come to Milwaukee, telling your agent, I want to go to Milwaukee. That's what Gary Sanchez did. After last year, Gary Sanchez is like, I want to go back to Milwaukee. Whatever they want to pay.
When the Brewers can prove they can win a championship, that's when you get guys that want to ring chase to come here.
Maybe that's what it takes. I don't know. But Gary Sanchez is one that told his agent, I want to go back to Milwaukee. Call them and see if they want me back. And he may be back next year, too, because if they trade Contreras, they're going to need somebody to put with Jefferson Carroll. So you may see Sanchez back again next year. That'll do it for a Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Again, thanks to Corey Knebel, former Brewers closer, part of Brewer Territory, for joining us in the first hour of the show. Thanks to all of you for listening today. Tomorrow, a Friday edition, including Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Havish Rotier at 4:20. Enjoy the rest of your night, Wisconsin. Have a good one. Toodles.